So guys, thank you for joining that live with us today. I'm Juliana. I work as an education planner here at Information Planet Perth office. And today we're going to talk about the Advanced Diploma of Civil Structural course. So Sachin from Stott College is going to give an overview to us. So if you are interested to become an engineer and work in that field, he's going to clarify to us about the course and the structure of that course as well. And later on, we are going to have Claudio from Seven Migration also talking about the migration pathways through that field here. So I would like to introduce you guys to Sachin.
Sure. Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Sachin and I work for an organization called Acknowledge Education, or otherwise referred to as Stott College. We have a number of different colleges under Acknowledge Education, and Stott College is one of them. I'll give you a small history about the organization before we start on to the construction course. So Stott College was started in 1883, so it's more than 130 years old. We have campuses across of Australia, so not only Perth, we have Perth, Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane campuses, and which run almost similar structures, just sometimes the courses are different in each campus, but it's all owned by one organization, which is Acknowledge Education. So today I think I'm going to talk to you about the Advanced Diploma of Civil Construction Design, and then walk you through the process of this and what is involved, the structure of the program, and what is covered in this program. So the Advanced Diploma of Civil Construction Design is a 2 years program and is delivered in the Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Perth campus. And the next intake for this program is the 25th of January, which is the next intake for this course.
Okay, so just before we start talk more about the course,
yeah.
I just want to maybe some of you doesn't know Information Planet. We are an international students agency that have more than 20 years of experience. We are present in 13 countries with more than 50 offices in the world. And here in Australia, we have 7 offices in Sydney, mainly Melbourne, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Perth. So yeah, that's us. And now you can let us know more about the course and the structure of the course.
Sure. Okay. So the civil construction design, like most of you may not be aware of this program, but anyway, the course is basically designed to equip the students, or to equip you with the practical and technical skills to be able to work with civil engineers in the form of the design and the construction of projects. So basically, in very layman terms, you'll be doing all the drawings that are required for any project to go ahead, and then after this it'll go up for things like estimates and other areas of the process that need to be followed. So it's a fairly technical course in the sense that you'll be doing a lot of work on computers. So we'll be using softwares such as CAD, there's Rivet, I think it's called, and 12D. So there's a number of softwares that you may integrate yourself with. So it's quite a hands-on course. As well as that, you'll be looking at doing drawings, a bit of project management, and also the other units on HR and people skills and all that sort of stuff that you'll cover as part of the course as well.
And what's the entry requirements for who wants to join and enroll for that course?
Sure. For international students, the entry requirement is quite simple. You need to have either your IELTS at 5.5, no less than 5, and a completion of year 12. In the event that you're an onshore student, we offer a free placement test that the students can do. So they just come, or when they do the application, they book in for a placement test, and that will determine the level of English that they have currently.
And it would be IELTS or equivalent as well. So if the person have let's say advanced English level certificate from a provider here in Australia, they might be.
So if they have the upper intermediate or equivalent as well, it's if you've done English here, it's almost the same. Okay. So we'll assess that based on what you have.
That's great. I have one more question here.
Sure.
And how the student can identify if that's the right choice for them to study?
Sure. To identify, I guess that's a personal question as what you're after, but I think if you look at what your future prospects are in terms of this course, now the Australian government recently announced there's billions of dollars that they're putting into the economy in terms of doing infrastructure projects and all these kind of things. So this is a course that will help you in that direction, and obviously with employment and all that sort of thing, this is where the jobs are going to be in this area. So I think in terms of making a future career or decision as to what to study next, I think this might be a fairly safe option or good option in terms of where the jobs are at the moment.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And like you already said that the length of the course is 2 years, but how is like the structure in terms of the division in theoretical, practical, as well as the assessments that they have to do?
So it's because it's a vocational training, it's all competency-based training. There's no exams and stuff. You've got to do your assessments and pass the assessments. There's a number of units that are practical only units, but as I mentioned before, these are all on computers. So they're all softwares that you practice your drawings or do measurements and do scenario-based. We are looking to introduce the CDR report, which is a competency demonstration report that is required for Engineering Australia when you're going for a skills assessment. In this area, so we're looking to introduce that as part of the course as well. So this will help the students, for those that want to look for other alternatives further down the track.
That sounds very nice. Yes. And how about the timetable? Like how many days a week the students have to attend the school, the hours as well? Yeah.
So at the moment, I don't have the days that you'll be coming to class, but just generally, as a rule of thumb, it will be approximately 2 days of study time in class. Over a week, and then you'll have your summer holidays and other holidays in between semesters and terms. So you do a total of 4 semesters.
Okay, that's great. And you mentioned that the next intake is gonna be in January,
25th
right?
of January.
And usually it's gonna be like 4 intakes a year or more.
Yeah, at this stage, there's I think there's 6 intakes that are scheduled.
Oh, that's
but
good.
it just depends on the demand. It's we only launched this program probably just under 2 months now, but it's been a very popular course, very high interest.
He even said that he had to hire more trainers, right?
Because the demand is high.
That's great, yes.
Yeah.
And besides that, you offer that course in Perth and any other campus?
Yeah, so all the campuses, Perth, Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane offer these programs. For all the students,
Any other questions? I think we covered like a lot of things about the course. Any other thing that you would like to add to the information for the students that wants to study that field in terms of like careers here? Do you know if like what's the possibilities that they can work?
Yeah, look, you're basically working as a civil draftsperson. So you're basically making all the drawings, like an architect drawing or like a floor plan for a house. You're doing those similar kind of drawings. Well, not similar, they're different, but that kind of idea to do the drawings. We are talking to people like Multiplex at the moment, who is one of the largest construction companies here in Australia. They're based across the whole of Australia. They have secured a lot of the tenders from the government for the infrastructure projects that are going up. There's John Holland, which is another company we've approached. We've also approached government agencies, for example, the WA Roads, Queensland Roads, New South Wales Road, Victoria Roads. These are all government water and roads projects. So this is where we think bulk of the money will be spent in the infrastructure projects in Australia. So these will be good opportunities for you to either get into the government sector doing this kind of work, or even within the private construction sector to work for these organizations. They're huge companies.
And we have a question here, because you guys have different campus. If I join Perth campus, for example, and I want to move to a different one in a different state, can I do that? Can I transfer my cards?
Yeah. So with the way we run as an organization, all the campuses run the exact same program at the same time. So if you wanted to move to another campus, we recommend that you wait at the end of the term or end of the semester and then move at that time. We won't allow you to move in between the semester or the term. But as soon as the term is finished or semester is finished, you can move to the next campus.
And how about is that any work placement number of hours that they need to complete to finish the course?
Yeah. So with this program, there's no requirement for work-based training or anything equivalent to that. But there is projects that you'll do that will build your report that I was talking about earlier. So those projects will be scenario-based projects that the students will learn out of and all that. But I suppose in reality, when you go and work, they will all be scenarios, that this is what we want to do and this is how we want to build it and this from here to here if it's a road. And then you work out what the situation is.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Any of you have any question for Sachin while he's still here with us? Or about the course? Let's see if someone have any question.
I have an offer if you want to discuss. So this program has a scholarship. We have a $2,000 scholarship that is valid till the 21st of December. So the students are eligible to get this scholarship of $2,000.
So guys, hurry up.
So time is limited. Christmas is coming soon.
Yes.
So
and $2,000 is a good save.
Yeah, it's a good amount to have for students.
That's great.
To help anyway.
Let
or you can use that money towards the shopping for Christmas.
Yes, that's true. Or even go for the holidays, isn't it?
That's right.
Okay. I have another question here.
Yep.
Do the student needs to have any background related to engineering to join that course?
No. There's no requirement to be of a certain discipline, I suppose. Anyone can really do the course. It's a vocational level program, so it's quite flexible.
And it starts already in advanced diploma level.
Yeah.
So the student is not required to have any diploma prior to commence that course, right?
No. So everything is covered in the course. The 2 years you'll spend there will cover you all the way. Yeah.
That's great. All right. Any other question, guys? Let's just wait a little bit longer. We had 2 people asking about the background. I think that's it. So, Sachin, I would like to thank you for being here with us today to clarify all the structure of the course for who wants to study. I think we just got a new question, so just 1 second. They're asking what type of softwares they would be learning in that course.
The main software is CAD, but I think there is also provisions for Reddit or Rivet and 12D. I'm not 100% sure of the other softwares, but I know CAD is definitely a big focus in the course. Because the partners that we've spoken to, like Multiplex and all this, they're all using CAD as their principal software.
I have a question here if you guys also offer any course related to mechanical engineering, but you can also say the courses that you guys offer in general in the school.
So no, we don't have mechanical engineering. This is the only engineering course we have on at the moment. The other programs we have are within the health sector. So we do community services programs, we have cookery programs, we have nursing programs. So which is the other programs that we run.
And in terms of pathway to join university later, if the person does the advanced diploma, they can get any credits to join the uni, had any pathway?
Yeah. So because this is a national recognized training program, any university will accept the units that are delivered here. Each university may have their own credit exemptions or how they assess it, but it's a possibility to go to university and get, I suppose, some sort of leeway on the units.
Okay, that's good as well.
Yeah.
All right.
But hopefully we'll have our own bachelors of engineering soon.
Yes, fingers crossed. That would be nice. So I think we covered pretty much everything. So I would like to say thank you again for being here with us today. And yeah, we hope have you here soon. Talk about your other courses.
No worries. Thank you everyone for coming, and thanks Information Plan for having us here.
All right, and now I'm gonna invite Claudio to participate with us. So just give me a second. Sorry. One more question before you go. I know that it's not a requirement to then do a work placement for that course, but if they have interest to join, does the provider, like you guys, offer any help in terms then finding a place to work? Or do a work placement?
This is the discussion we're currently having with Multiplex. It hasn't been finalized yet, but definitely there'll be help or assistance when you're looking for work and what sort of work you should look for. But yeah, the trainers are always, all our trainers are industry trainers, so they come from the industry, they work in the industry, and they teach as well. So they will have their own contacts that they can refer you to as well. So by all means, speak to the trainers that you have, speak to the student support services. There'll be different options available for the students. But the trainers, mainly because they come from the industry, they are really working in this sector, and some of the trainers are designers by profession, or they work in civil construction. They will have their own range of contacts that you can approach and see how you can gear your CV or whatever it is that you need assistance with. So trainers are there to help you as well.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
All right. So again, thank
no
you.
worries. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your help today. Now I'm gonna invite Claudio to participate with us. Hello. Hi, Claudio.
Hi. How are you?
Great. So, Claudio, I'm gonna ask you to start giving us an overview about Seven Migration for those who doesn't know you guys yet.
Sure. All right. So Seven Migration shares the office with IP. I am so sorry I could not be in presence there, but we are located at the same office as Information Planet in Perth in Adelaide. But we offer consultations and services for all clients throughout Australia and all over the world. We have many clients in Brazil. We do video consultations with them as well as other countries. But in Perth, Adelaide, and Sydney, we also offer in-person consultations because we have offices in these locations. And in Adelaide, in Perth, we are together with IP.
That's great. So I have some questions that some people asked us. So if I would like to study that course, engineering, I'm eligible to migrate to Australia. How would be my pathways to migrate to that field?
All right. The course that Stotts Engineering, Stotts College offers is a course that qualifies you for a position that is in the medium long-term stream of the general skill migration list. So definitely this is a good option if you plan to migrate to Australia. It's not so simple as just doing the course. There's a whole lot of requirements that we have to meet in terms of planning a migration pathway for the clients. But it's one of the fields that is more sought because it is on the medium long term stream, so definitely offers many migration pathways, and it's a good option if someone likes the course, likes the area, and intends to migrate. Definitely.
That's good to hear. And how good should be my English if, if the student would like to join that course, how should be their English to do that?
Sure. We first have to check what's the requirement for the course, and I believe it's from what I have seen in the website is 4.5.5. But in terms of years in general, if you want to migrate to Australia, the minimum English score you need to have is 6 on IELTS is competent English, which is 6 on IELTS or 50 on PTE, or if I'm not mistaken, 169 on CAE. I might be mistaken. It might be 100 and I'm not exactly sure on the CAE, but it's 50 on PTE or 6 on IELTS. It can be either general or academic. Both are acceptable by Engineers Australia, which is the authority for the skills assessment for engineers. Particularly for the course which STOTS offer, the civil engineer draftsperson, the occupation is also assessed by VETAssess. In terms of VETAssess, they don't require any English level for the skills assessment, but skills assessment is just one of the requirements for a skill visa. So, of course, the person might complete the course and do the skills assessments with VETAssess without any minimum level of English, but when they will be applying for a visa, the minimum level of English required for migration is competent English. 6 on IELTS, 50 on PTE. Most people, though, will need a better score, just because migration in Australia is being competitive as never before, and it's very important that we gather points to compete with higher chances of successful.
Okay, and how the person that would like to try to migrate through that area knows if they will meet the requirements?
Well, there are many requirements that we need to meet. I always tell my clients that we first have to check the occupation and what's the authority will require for that occupation. So for civil engineer draftsperson, for example, which is the occupation that STOTS College offer, we can do the skills assessment through Engineers Australia or VETAssess. So each one of these authorities have different requirements. For example, Engineers Australia doesn't require necessarily any experience. So the person can do the skills assessment positively when they finish the course, and it's fine. They are all ready to apply for a visa, for example. But VETAssess requires 1 year of experience after you complete your qualification. So, but because you can choose is great, because you can, if you don't want to go for the experience, you can go for the English level and then go for Engineers Australia. Just have to do your career episodes, and then you meet the skills assessment for that occupation. After you complete the skills assessment, you have to worry about your points. So we have to check how many points you have when considering qualification, work experience, age, level of English, study in Australia, partner, and everything. And we have to meet the minimum points required for that stage or that visa you're applying to. There's another requirement, which is usually the state nomination requirements. So we have to check the state the person is applying to, and we have to check what that state requires for the position. Some states will require work experience. Some states will require a higher points test. Some states might require studies plus experience, job offer. It depends on each state. So for a person to know if they will be migrating or not through that occupation, we have to check the requirements for the skills assessment, their points test, and the state nomination requirements as well. So it's a lot of checks we have to do.
Yeah, that's why it's important to talk with the migration agents, so they will know exactly what they have to meet the requirements, right?
Exactly, yeah.
The next question is very important. How much usually they have to save to apply for their PR through that field?
All right. I'm not gonna talk anything related to student visas, because for student visas fees they should contact IP and they will do a quotation for the study plan. But post qualification, post studies, then worry about the skills assessment and graduate visa. So this we already have a cost. So Seven Migration now is having a combo that we are offering skills assessment and graduate visa in a promotional price. So it's being a little cheaper. But that's the first course, the cost the person will have. They will probably spend around 3,000 to 5,000 depending on the occupation, how many people are included in the occupation. But roughly this is the total amount they will be spending for their skills assessment and graduate visa. And then they have to use the graduate visa to meet the requirement to increase points or meet the requirement for the stage, for example. And when they finally meet the requirements for the skills assessment, points test, and the state nomination, then we can move for the state nomination, expression of interest, and visa application. All in all together, I would estimate something around $12,000 to $15,000, but that will depend on many factors. Which occupation, which authority we are applying to, how many tests of English the person will need to reach the minimum level they require, what's the authority, how many people are included in the application, what's the stage the person is applying to. So it varies quite a lot, but roughly I would say something between $10,000 to $15,000. It's not cheap, but it's the last visa the person will be applying in Australia.
Yeah. Oh. And just to receive that information that will become permanent residents is worth the money.
Yeah, exactly.
We had that question before, and you already said that now, but I just want to reinforce that, yes, that course is eligible for apply for the graduate visa. Okay, because we had someone asking before.
Yeah.
So let me just see here. What's the other questions that you had?
And if any person has any questions, they can type here on the chat box. Yes. And also.
Actually, the questions that we received has finished now, so now it's just for who is with us here in the live.
All right, so while people are typing their questions, I have some tips for this area especially. It's very important to use the graduate visa. The graduate visa nowadays is fundamental for any migration plan. And it is great with the engineering courses that they will always offer, not always, but at least the civil engineering vocational courses and electrical engineers as well will offer a pathway for the graduate visa. When they have a graduate visa, it's usually through the graduate visa that they can meet the requirements for the states. Today in Australia, almost every state will require work experience or job offer or something related. So it is important that these persons will have to use the graduate visa and probably and most likely will have to go to the market and work in their occupation, because that's the idea with the migration program nowadays. They want to invite people to stay in Australia, but people who will really commit to working in their occupation, and they will really fit in the work environment here in their occupation. So immigration will only, and the states will only invite those, or will invite those first who are working in their field.
And the course is 2 years length, and they will need to do the skills assessment later on. In which moment do you recommend them to start that process?
The skills assessment with VETASES or Engineers Australia can only be done once the course has been completed, right? So, a 2-year course, depending on their intake, they might have 2 to 3 months holidays after the course finishes. So that's plenty of time to do the skills assessment, prepare the graduate visa application. It might not be enough time, for example, to not use the graduate visa, right? So for example, here in WA, when you finish the course and you have a job offer, you can already request the nomination from the state for the 190, for the 491, for example. But we just don't consider that option too much because we don't have much time. After the course finishes, we still have to do the skills assessment. Many people still have to go and do IELTS, get a job offer. So that's usually there's not enough time in the 2-3 months holidays that they have after the course finishes to do all that. So it's much better to take it slow, finish the course, prepare your skills assessment, go for the graduate visa. When you are in the graduate visa, look for a job offer so you can apply for your state nomination, get a better IELTS score or English test score, then we can move and apply for the state nomination. State invites people throughout the year, so there's really no rush. Of course, there are few times, for example, now because of the coronavirus, and no states are inviting anyone at the moment, but that's just like a once in, I don't know, every 5 or 10 years they will have something like that. But it's not common. The most common is that they will invite throughout the year. So we can take it slow and they can finish the course, go for the graduate visa. We have an 18-month visa, and then they can plan and do a very strong state nomination application. Sometimes when people need to apply the skill visa as soon as the course finishes and they need points, they might go for the 491, for example. And the 491, you will only become permanent resident after 3 years. And if you had waited a little longer, went for the 489, 485, for example, for the graduate visa, maybe you could have got a better IELTS score and apply for the 180, for example. Then you would become permanent resident earlier. So it all depends on each person, of course, but it's always important for people to use the graduate visa the best way.
And Claudia, we have one question here that is a little bit different from what you were saying about that area specifically, the drafts person, but they ask if the list has been released, but not specific. Is not specifying here which state. So I guess that should be here in WA. Yeah. Any news about that?
I can say about WA as much as I can say for all of the states. No state has released their skill list. What's happening at the moment is that we had a budget in October, and the budget determined how many places for the 190 and the 491 were going to be for this financial year, but they haven't distributed these places for the states. So all states now, they are saying, look, we had an interim allocation, we have run out of those places, and we have to wait until the allocation for the states are finalized, so we can go back to nominating. So no state has so far released their lists. I am expecting that the allocations will be finalized by mid-December, and all states will release their lists either in the end of December or beginning of January, but most likely invitations will only be issued from January. So this is especially true because the skill visa has been cut by half. So we have half of the places we had last year for skill visa. So it's just that they don't have to rush because they don't have many places anyway. So if they start inviting too early, they will run out of places too soon within the year. So we have half a place, but we will only be using half of the year. So I think in January, the state will come back inviting as much as they did in the past.
And you mentioned that one of the requirements that the person has a job offer. And we have a question here for how long the person should be working for the company with that job offer.
12 months. For Western Australia, you must, when you are applying for your skill visa, you must provide evidence of employment for past employment of 6 months or future employment for 12 months. So if you have already worked in your occupation in Western Australia, it's 6 months. And it can be part-time because you are on a student visa, right? So it can be part-time. But if you still haven't worked in your occupation and you will working in your occupation, you need to provide a job offer, an offer of employment, employment contract of 12 months full-time. That's why it's so important to use your graduate visa, right? So when you go looking for a job, you will need to be offered a position for 12 months full-time. So you need work permission for 12 months full-time. So you will need a graduate visa, otherwise companies will not offer you the position. So it's important to use.
Yes. It's good that they have that opportunity to have that 18 months to do that, right?
A civil engineer, electrical engineer is a very good pathway because it gives people the right for the graduate visa. Not many occupations do. When we look at the occupation list, only occupations on the medium long-term list offer graduate visa for people who have studied vocational courses. And when you look at the medium long-term list, most occupations are bachelor level. So it's hard to find a course there that we can study a vocational course and still be eligible for graduate visa. Chef is, but some trades, for example, mechanic or some trades, carpenter, but electrical engineer and civil engineer at vocational level also are. So it's a very good area to migrate.
Let's just see if someone else have any other question.
Someone is asking about mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineer at the vocational level is not on the medium long-term list, is in the short-term list. But if a person is a mechanical engineer, the person has done a mechanical engineering degree at their home country, there's still a pathway to migrate through a vocational course. Of course, that course the person has studied in Australia must have been related to the occupation. So must be a vocational course in mechanical engineering or engineering in general, because the immigration will want to see that the course they have studied here is related to the occupation that they have. So the course that they have. So they can apply as a mechanical engineer, having studied a vocational course in mechanical engineer, but when they go look for a job offer, because they are a mechanical engineer applying, so the job offer will need to be as a mechanical engineer and not mechanical engineer draft person, for example, or technician. We have to be at the same skill level of the occupation. So the job offer needs to be as a mechanical engineer.
And if that person studied the vocational course here that is going to be related to that background, they will be eligible to have the graduate visa as well?
Exactly. If the background the person has qualifies then for a skills assessment of one occupation that is in the medium long-term list, then we can relate the course that they have studied here to that occupation, then they will still be eligible for the graduate visa.
We also have a question if the person that works as a welder would be eligible to apply for the 485 as well.
The welder course, if I'm not mistaken, is the mechanical engineering certificate 3 in engineering mechanical trade. I'm not sure if they have that course in Western Australia.
I don't think so. No, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they offer that in Queensland, but not here in WA.
Yeah, I think they do have this course in Queensland. I know that they have in Victoria, in Melbourne, and they might have also in New South Wales. They don't have here in Western Australia, but if the person is in another state and they want to study certificate 3 in engineering mechanical trade, that's the course for people who are going to work as a welder. It's a great occupation also to migrate. The only problem is that the states that offer this course are not great states to migrate. So Queensland is terrible for migration. They are closed for most of the year for the migration program. New South Wales, if it's Sydney, is very competitive. If it's not Sydney, there are not many options of courses. Same with Victoria. Melbourne, very competitive, and list is very short. And in the regional area of the state, not many options, of course. So it is tough. Sometimes the person may use two states. For example, they might go to Queensland, study there, and maybe move back to Western Australia or South Australia or Northern Territory to plan their migration pathway. But it's the course they will be studying is the mechanical trade certificate 3.
Okay, I also missed one question before. Could you explain to us a little bit the difference between the visa 190 and 489?
190 and 489?
Yes, they ask for 89. Yes.
Yeah, 489 actually doesn't exist anymore. The 489 finished in November 2019 and was replaced by the 491, right? The biggest difference between the 190 and the 491. 190 is permanent. 491 is not permanent. It is not temporary. It's a provisional visa. So once you are invited for the 491, you will get that visa, and will be a 5-year visa that will allow you to work for a permanent residency after 3 years on that visa. So and it's a very good visa because you have Medicare, so you have the public health. You have you are free of changes. For example, you're safe. So, for example, if your occupation is not on the list anymore, but you are on the 491, no problem because you're safe. If the region you are leaving, because this is a regional visa, if the region you are leaving becomes non-regional, it doesn't change for you, because when you got the 491, that area was regional and will remain as regional for you. So it's a very good visa, not as good as 190, which is PR, of course.
That one you can straight away enjoy your residence here.
Exactly. Yeah, big difference.
Yes. And you were saying about like the trade course, and then we have someone interested to know a little bit more about the pathways through carpentry course, but I'm guessing that may be different between states as well, right?
Exactly, yeah. All trades, the same with engineering. Trades are also on the medium long-term list, and if you study those courses, you will qualify for the graduate visa. But the only difference, especially because we just spoke with Stotts College, and Stotts College is offering a course that was on the migration list until June 2020 in Western Australia, but carpentry is not. So if someone is planning to study carpentry in Western Australia, they might consider states after they finish the course, or hope with all their forces that carpentry will go back to the list once the state releases their list now, end of December, beginning of January. It might happen. I mean, if a person starts a course now, they will only finish the course end of 2022. So lots of things will change until then. We will have the list that will be released there, a new list in July 2021, a new list in July 2022. Then you need to worry if the occupation will be on the list or not. So it might go back to the list. We never know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think we have one more question here before we finish. The person asked if they have to work for the same company during those 3 years in the 941 visa.
No, they don't need to be working for the same company. The 491 allows them to work in any company, in any occupation, to be very honest. So if the person is changing occupation, is fine. They only have to meet the income requirements. So they need to work in regional area only, live and work in regional area only, and their income will need to be $53,900 per year on each of these 3 years. So they will have to do a tax return of 53,900 minimum to qualify for the 491. So if they change jobs, it's just important that they know that they check if the other job will also offer the same level of income, because sometimes they might fall short on that requirement, and they might skip a year, and they will need a 4th year and a 5th year to meet the 3-year requirement on that level of income. So it's just a matter of finding the right job, and a job that will pay the minimum.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So Claudio, thanks so much for helping us to understand how is the migration pathways through the civil and structural draftsperson course. So thank you for being with us today. And I think that's it.
We thank you for the invitation. Someone is asking for the link for the welder course. Maybe Ju can...
Yes, I can send that. That's fine.
Right.
I take a note here.
All right. So see you next time.
See you. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.